Last week, I pledged to play through all of Dragon's Dogma, and the very next day, a new trailer for Dragon's Dogma 2 launched. You gotta say, it's kind of like Destiny. But is this game really good in 2023? Welcome back, Classy Crew, to Journal Number 1 on my Dragon's Dogma journey. This is where I play through all of Dragon's Dogma and keep you all updated on my progress, on my thoughts, whether they change, first impressions, and what I think of the game as I play through it. It's a little different take on the typical review format. So last week, I streamed about the first 4 hours of this game, taking us through the opening tutorial, character creation, and then the intro village, which had a lot to give me. And I have to say, if you're here wondering, is Dragon's Dogma still worth a look in 2023? First 4-hour impression, yes it is. This game is absolutely a hidden gem. I can't believe I haven't played this until now. I can't believe it's as old as it is with the elements it has. And I know for a fact, I know very little about this game. The first 4 hours, you barely scratch the surface of the story. In fact, I don't even know what the story is yet. I have no idea what's going on. A big dragon took my heart and I'm still alive. I'm so confused and I'm summoning humans, people, out of a rock somehow. So the story doesn't make sense, but that doesn't mean the game's not fun, even if it is an RPG where a story is usually quite important. And I haven't even gotten really into the combat. So I've poked around at a few rats. I fought off a few wolves. There was a cyclops. There was a hydra. That thing was pretty cool. But I haven't had a real proper fight dungeon or anything like that. So I'm still really green in this game, and there's still a lot to uncover in terms of what is Dragon's Dogma, what's going on here, and what the heck does dogma mean? That word is not even part of my vocabulary. What is a dogma? I know I could look this up on the internet, but I'm thinking about it now. So let's get into the opening tutorial. The first thing I gotta say, what the hell's going on? Because this tutorial opens you up, you've got some people yelling at you, you've got some weapons, you're fighting things, you're learning what to do. There's a dragon, you're like, am I gonna fight the dragon? It's super confusing, and then out of nowhere, a dragon hatches out of the sky, harpies are everywhere, and then you go to the character creation screen, and then you start in the happy little seaside village. So what? How are those two things related? So that little tutorial gave me the ability to kind of see what I could do. You've got your light attack, your heavy attack. You can actually shield bash, and something I have never seen in any kind of sword and shield game. You can actually bash on your shield with your sword to taunt enemies. I think that's what it's for. And I love doing that. Now, you could probably do it in another game. I just haven't never come across it in my gaming journeys. So we go to the character creation screen, pretty in depth, if I have to say. I am someone who is where character creation is probably lost on me because I'm not creative enough to make any kind of interesting character. I usually go with the first pre-made character, and I adjust them a little bit because the hair is important to me, so I like to have a little bit more wavy hair. And sometimes I'll adjust the color of the eyes, make sure the jaw's nice, maybe add a few scars here and there. But for the most part, I design pretty boring characters. So Character Maker, I can't really review it or comment on it that much. But if you like to make creative characters, you can even make your character's skin green or something. You can make them pretty much any height. You can make them any size. There is a chest slider. I think there's a butt slider. There's a variety of hair that you can do. It's no Wild Hearts character creation, which I think is probably the most in-depth I've experienced so far. But for what it is, a 10-year-old character creation, it is freaking good. So then we get launched into our little seaside village where everything's happy. We meet a girl. I think she's a cousin. I don't know. Everybody's a cousin in this village. And then a dragon shows up and everyone's like, oh, your friend. I'm like, okay, this big dragon is my friend. Great. Except the big dragon attacks the village, murders people, and then literally enters my chest, takes my beating heart out of my chest, eats it, and flies away. And then the game begins. What is happening? I was like, wouldn't it be funny if the game actually launched you to another character creation after you get your heart ripped out? I think that needs to happen in a game as a troll to someone. Oh my goodness, this would be the most hilarious thing if there was a character creation, and some people spend hours on that, and then you play the game, and then in the opening that character is supposed to die, and then you have to restart all over again. But to make it worthwhile, let's say there's a reason to design two characters, and that first character, maybe that's the villain or something, the Heartless that is your nemesis. I think it would be an interesting trolley move to do, although I don't know if the gaming community would like that. Anyways, then you pick your vocation. So I think there were 3. There was fighter, the ranged one, and the mage. I'm, again, a vanilla gamer, so I go with the fighter. I also like sword and shield. Mage, I have never liked, but I hear it's really good in this game. So I feel I need to have a baseline, and a good baseline is the fighter. It's the default setting. It's what the game starts you with. So I'm going to go with the sword and shield. And if I want to explore more, I can always go with the ranged, like thief kind of build, or the mage build. We can change things up as we go, or if we play it again. So from there, I got to just mess around with the mechanics a little bit, spent 4 hours, did so many quests. So you start off in the small village and, you're doing the very basic quests. Oh, I need some medicine to heal these people. Oh, there's a thief in this city. You need to catch him. Oh, I'm a peddler who needs to get to the other town. So I'm on a seaside village, and I've made it all the way to an encampment, which is like a fort that's maybe not that far away. Maybe a mile, maybe a half a kilometer. I don't know what you measure distance with, but you know what? Let's use something that we can all understand. It's about 327 beavers away. That's pretty much where I kept my gameplay in between those 2 parts. And the encampment is where there's like a military base. Eventually there's a cool Hydra that attacks. Actually, before the Hydra attacks, there's a cool ogre Cyclops. And what I really love about Dragon's Dogma is the fact that you can jump on any monster, like a big thing, you just jump on it and then you just start stabbing it. I did not think to stab the Cyclops in the eye because he was so big and chunky. I was just busy climbing onto him and stabbing him everywhere. And then everyone's like, you could stab him in the eye. That's his weak point. I was like, that sounds obvious. But I was too filled with adrenaline at stabbing at his shins instead. So I didn't go for the eye, but I love the idea that you can do a lot more stuff. And then later with the Hydra, that thing was just the effects on it. It was so gory and it was so realistic. And I was like, oh, what are these monsters going to look like in Dragon's Dogma 2? Because they are gross in the first game. And if they're only going to look more realistic in the second game, yeesh. It's going to give me the heebie-jeebies. So that was the fighting. Like I said, I didn't really get the chance to do too much more with it. The equipment stuff, there's a whole thing about equipment. There's so much in the menus. I needed to digest the menus because the equipment slots, there's a lot of them. And you've got the little flag that says new everywhere, every time, because, it's the start of the game. Everything you're picking up, there's a big new flag, which is a little like, I got to go through the menus and like clean it up every time I pick something up. Okay, it's new. I see it. I picked up the apple. Okay, now there's a dirty apple or a rotten apple. So there's a lot of things that you just pick up. You can pretty much pick up everything in the game, which leads me to believe there's a lot of useless items that are there just to like wear you down, kind of like Skyrim. So that is slightly annoying because it's like, what do I keep? What do I pick up? I don't know. I want to pick up everything, but I can't hold everything. So inventory management is going to be important. Another thing is I made a huge mistake when I was buying equipment and I wasn't quite understanding the mechanics. This sounds so dumb, but I ended up buying 4 hats for my one guy, and I don't even like the hat. The picture showed a really nice little hat with a feather. I was like, oh, I want that. And then when I tried it on him, he didn't have the feather. I was like, what the heck? And then I ended up buying 4 of them because I didn't notice I was increasing the thing up to 4, the count. So I learned how to shop properly after that. I also like the fact that you have a clothes slot and an armor slot. I've never seen that before. So you can actually put clothes underneath your armor, which makes a lot of sense. I love that they thought of that. And then the big element that was introduced to me are I think they're called pawns. I don't know. You get introduced to a dude named Rook. Rook is a creepy dude, and he's constantly just kind of murmuring around you. But this guy didn't last long. As soon as I could switch him out, I'm like, okay, you're out. They let me create my own pawn. I named her Classy. So Classy is joining me once again on my adventure, although this time it won't be a Palico, it will be a female human. And Blue, as you might recognize from the XP Hunter podcasts that we have, is joining me as well. So I really like that you can borrow each other's pawns. So if you have friends playing on, I think it's the same platform, I don't know if it's cross-platform, you can pretty much summon your friend's pawn into your game, and then that pawn can share its experience with you. So if it's done quest that you're doing, it can give you hints. And then all of the experience that it gets while you're playing and making quests, when it goes back to your friend's game, it'll remember the experience with you, which is like, what the heck? How have we not seen more of this tech being leaned into and being used in the last 10 years. I can't think of any other game that really like uses that system, which is wild to me. What they do, they act as basically your party in like a D&D party pretty much. So I've got Classy, who's my ranged archer, and I've got Blue, who's a mage, and I've got another tanky woman who's just there to take the damage. The bad side about them is they have like no personality. They're kind of soulless. And they are super chatty. There's a setting and options to like shut them up, but I wanted to see what the experience was before I do that. And my goodness, do they talk a lot. So if it keeps going, I might need to like be, hey, just kill the monsters. Give me my buffs, but don't talk so much. Thank you. Speaking of the buffs, that's pretty cool. So they can heal you. They can cast like fire or ice on my sword so that I have like an elemental infused melee attack, which is really cool. To my understanding, I'm not quite sure how to customize it so that I can like tell my party what to use on me. I don't know if that comes in later. For now, they're all on autopilot and they're just doing what they should be doing, I think. And I'm not far into that mechanic, but so far it's looking very promising. Oh, there's skills, so you can buy skills for your character, which is really cool. So I've got one where I can like leap forward and thrust. There's another one where I can kind of swing my sword up above me. So there's only so many slots, which means you can really customize how you want to fight and the kind of character that you want to build. So I'm seeing all the groundwork to a really promising game. And I know that this game ran out of budget or was like had to ship before it was fully done. I don't know, but I've heard that there were some development issues. So I'm seeing the groundwork. I'm a little concerned though. Does it actually like meet its full potential, or does it kind of flounder later on and never really uses a lot of that groundwork that they're setting? We're going to find out in the next couple of journals. And otherwise, story-wise, like I said, I don't know what's going on. I slayed a Hydra. I kept its head. And also it looks like there's a dark, mysterious guy. Like he's always there with a cloak. After I kill a monster, you just kind of see him wander away. So very Palpatine, if you know what I mean. So he's probably our first antagonist. I say first because RPGs always have your first antagonist. Then there's the real antagonist messing with the antagonist. And then there's God, who is the antagonist, or that antagonist becomes God. So we'll see where it goes, and we'll see if I can figure out what is the story of Dragon's Dogma. But in terms of mechanics, it is good. Should you play it in 2023, it holds up super well. I think it's available on all platforms. If you still want to hold off and see what the story is about or how things are going to progress, well, tune in next week for the next journal as I continue my pledge through all of Dragon's Dogma, and I will see you on the next journal or on the stream. And until next time, keep it classy.